Top of the morning, folks. It's Captain Liam here, Modio and Bridled. I hope you're well today. I have to just go over to Instagram here and press go live, so you may lose me for a second. But I hope you can hear me. It's going to be a little bit of a different one today because we're trying to upgrade our technology.
Clear video.
Someone's joined in. Oh, brother. How are you today, Mr. Alex?
Fantastic, Captain Liam. How are you? Back in Seattle?
Back in Seattle, back on the bridge where I belong, back in my place, you know.
Well, it's great to see you out there doing your content, connecting with people, showing enthusiasm.
I don't know how you do it, Alex. I've got to admit, it's a whole different world. It's a whole different world.
It's practice.
You know, I've got a whole new level of admiration for yourself and even brokers and everything, because what they go through from a business perspective, it's a lot of challenges.
What challenges did you face?
For me, none, because I didn't have a boat there, so I was in a relaxed mode. But let me just see if I can go live on Instagram here. So bear with me. Can you see me?
Yeah, very clearly. Quality is good.
Okay, because I'm trying to see if I can go live on Instagram too. I'm going to look for Captain Scott if he joins us. Now, the challenges I saw well, what the brokers and even yourself and all the businesses went through. It's quite a hustling environment. Oh, there you go. Oh, a bit of maintenance on the road,
Oh, a smudge on there. Yeah, it's a very competitive, high energy, fast paced environment. People are moving fast. You literally will come across people. How's it going?
Hey, not bad. I was just on the phone with Captain Kerry. He said he's keen to join if you guys are cool.
Yeah,
I think we might get him, hey, Mr. K?
Hey, g'day.
Captain Kerry.
Oh, how
good's
buddy?
this?
This is
You're on the golf
great.
course.
This is where I go. G'day, mate. G'day, mate. G'day, mate.
And everyone's like, he's talking to himself again. He's talking to himself again. He's lost it.
All my neighbours are like, he's always muttering to himself. I don't know.
Cool, man.
I'm just out walking the dog, boys.
Oh, beautiful, man. Mate, how was the show for you, Kerry?
Yeah, it was good, mate. I've been overseas doing things we can't talk about for the last 2 months. And so, I'm 12-hour time zone difference, which is pretty harsh. So
you're talking about that
flew in.
OnlyFans thing you've started, haven't you? Sorry, mate. Sorry, I had to give you
Sponsored by Dyson, mate. So. We got you both ways.
Yeah.
So I got back like midnight Wednesday night, and I didn't sleep on the plane. I didn't sleep till I got back. It was like 50 hours I was awake.
Wow.
So the boat show was a little slow for me. I didn't really get into it until Friday, and met some awesome people. Palm Beach is probably my favorite show.
Me too.
Anywhere. And it was too bad Sunday. It was such a washout.
Yeah.
Did you see any trends that you kind of thought stood out there, Captain Kerry, or like anything you're seeing in the industry that you want to bring up?
There was definitely, we're all in the space of mental health and cruising ourselves. There was a lot more dialogue in that department. I had a lot of people come up and thanking me for bringing focus to it, which I don't really need a thanks because I wasn't doing it for most of my captain life. I didn't really, there's probably less crew that like me than those that work for me. Because I wasn't aware. I mean, I gotta be honest, I wasn't aware, and they're probably wondering who the hell this guy is now. They're probably think I'm an actor. But probably what makes me better at what I'm saying and doing, because I know how I've affected people. and how I put too much pressure on my staff and not giving them the grace they deserve in the past.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I look back at my past thinking, geez, I was tough. Like I had some bad sayings when it comes down to work, like work harder, not smarter, things like that.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh.
No, I would. I was chatting to my ex-wife
This is how
yesterday.
you guys grew up in the
She
industry.
reminded me. When if someone left the boat and they let me down, the exit interview was just a bashing. I made you feel insignificant when you left the boat.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So I see a
anyone out
lot
there
of
listening
companies
right
now,
now,
like, I see heaps of companies now that have jumped on board and saying, yep, we understand it, let's move. And that was one of my biggest takeaways. Did you see that, Captain Scott? Like a lot of companies now that are in that space. There's a lot.
Most definitely. Unfortunately, I only got to get down there on Sunday afternoon, and we were waiting on the rain in between, so I only got down and got to see a few people. Got to see my wife and my nephew and a few other people, and I got to hear the horn blow and all the horns blow, which is always fun. I think we were talking about it's one of the few shows where I didn't have a boat in the show, so it's kind of a weird feeling. It's like, oh, I can go wherever I can go if I want. I don't need to hang around for anything at all. So it was interesting, but the vibe I got from a lot of people and talking to them when they were at the show was like Captain Carey was saying, is the mental awareness is a lot more prevalent, which I think is nice because at least the dialogue is there and we can at least talk about stuff, more. And I've noticed I've gotten better at it over the years because I used to be the guy that would just hold everything in, and then I mean, that's not really good for anybody because then you have those explosive moments where at a random incident, traffic or somebody brings the wrong part, or it could be anything, the dog, whatever, they walk in front of you. But I think that's really great, and I think we're going to all be for the better. There's that saying, if it's meant to be manageable,
And I saw that content there, Captain Kerry, with all the horns blowing and you going down the walkway.
Yeah, mate. It was.
That was for you. That was welcoming you back, Cap.
I know it was because it was like 4:54 when it was happening. I'm like, oh, thanks, guys. And they ran out of there. They ran out of there at 5 o'clock.
They were blowing for a good solid 10 minutes, and then I think everyone got tired by the time it was actually 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
What about you, Alex? What was your highlight of the show, mate?
My highlight of the show, it's always connecting with people on the docks or just bumping into people randomly from around the world. You just keep seeing them. The nature of the yacht show, which you'll come to realize, is that you got to take that moment that you connect with that person in passing. Take that moment then, because you're never going to see them. You might not see them again. It's just so fast. I bumped into Captain Kerry. I think it's our second time bumping into each other now. Briefly, that was at the Denison party, but it was nice to see you again, Captain Kerry. Scott, I didn't have a chance to see you. But you, Captain Liam, it was great to go to the ISS seminars, and we learned such a huge amount about the future of yachting. So that was one of the highlights for me. AI is here to stay, and those who are not utilizing it yet are going to get left behind. That was a very clear message. And then also alternative energy sources like nuclear coming in 2030. That's fascinating to me. I'm looking forward to the future of yachting.
Yeah. So Captain Kerry and Captain Scott in too. We went to a seminar where they talked about nuclear power, and it was an Aussie guy. So when an Aussie guy starts to talk about nuclear, everyone's like, "Oh, I don't know if I can trust this. I don't know if I can trust this."
Nah.
That's Derek.
We don't even have a nuclear program. We goes to the States.
Being being Aussie, he made it sound super simple. He's like, no worries, just put it in, she'll be right. 20 years.
Yeah, just put something, a bit of water, you know, a little pump,
Yeah.
a little bit of heat.
Put some shrimp. If it gets hot, put a couple of shrimp on it, cook it up, you'll be good to go. You
Yeah.
know,
The byproduct is the jacuzzi's always hot. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So this is an ex-captain, and it was unbelievable. So the ISS put it on, and it was an ex-captain, and he's talking, and I'll get some details about it, promoting it, and it's pushed by United States, forcing small nuclear power plants which have only 5% uranium enrichment, as opposed to bombs which are like 80% uranium. So they're saying it's kind of like a non-lethal form of uranium, but it's used to make 1 megawatt of power to use on the vessel's electronic propulsion systems.
That's wild.
And it's this whole vision of going to an island, and then you connect your shore power to the shore and give them back power through battery banks and supply the shore. So for hurricane readiness, for things like that, I think there's great potentials in the technology. But the room went quiet. Like when you start talking nuclear.
I think, nuclear has had a bad stigma just with the meltdowns and stuff. But I know that in Japan and I believe France, they've been using smaller modular nuclear programs for quite some time, and it's pretty well established. And I know that Amazon and Google, they got approved a couple of years ago, I think now, to do these small modular nukes for their data centers and stuff, to where it's, rather than building up the grid, they're doing the in-place, small modular plant, so that they don't have to run big transmission lines. They run it right there, and then they can also provide power to the town or everything that needs to be around it. And the military is quite some time. Probably what they're using now is probably farly. I would hope it's much further advanced, and I think it's kind of it's more there's more potential there with clean energy there. If you're looking at a clean energy solution, you have to include nuke and geothermal, and you have to include a lot of these solutions, because there's no way we're going to get there. There's no way we're going to get there with what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, the funny bit is they're testing it before July. So this is not just a theory out there. They're actually testing it before July 4th in America, because that's what Trump's after. And there's 6 companies that are testing this up to 1 megawatt generator. That's what it is. And Cap Kerry, 20-year lifespan. 20 years.
That's amazing.
So, and then the other big positives are no ventilation, so no air ducts coming into an engine room, no extraction fans, no noises like that. So there's some huge positives for the industry in terms of, design as well. So without air ducts, without exhaust and extraction, without that noise and the generators running, I think from a guest experience, there's some positives.
Yeah.
I mean, vibration-wise,
for these fuel tanks can be used as storage and other areas for provisioning vessels.
And when I would imagine you have a larger cooling unit probably for it, you're going to have some kind of raw. I mean, you're going to probably use raw water, but you're going to probably need some massive pumps and stuff also to keep it cool and keep it within range. I'd be interested to see how that all works. That's I think it's I'm all for giving these things a try. Because what we're doing right now is not sustainable, really.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have any experience in it, Captain Kerry, the old nuclear world?
Sorry, mate, I've lost you for a second. What was that?
That's right. Do you have any experience in the old? What's your take on the old nuclear world? What's your fears, maybe?
Yeah, can you ask that
What's
again,
your
mate?
fears, you reckon, Captain Kerry? Yeah, what's your fears about the nuclear? What's your take on it? You know, like how do you see it, implementing into yachting?
Well, I mean, it's training, of course. I mean, it's engineers are going to have to learn how to manage it and maintain it and monitor it. It is nuclear, so I mean, a boat full of fuel can be weaponized. So I'm sure a little plant can be as well. But I wasn't there, so I wasn't there to hear what all the things I've already sorted out and already worked out. But nuclear energy is a clean energy. As far as when it's running, but we still have the waste, right? Where does that waste go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That were the two biggest issues, was the social stigma and the waste of uranium. But apparently after 20 years, you take the suitcase out, they can reuse 70% of what's remaining, and then they only store. So it's actually from a recycle point of view.
Yeah,
but you brought up a good point. The vibration, Captain Kerry, you brought up a great point. Because everyone forgets as a captain, our biggest worry is that what's that shake? Oh, it's nothing. It's nothing. But every boat has a vibrational range,
Yeah, certain harmonics. Well, I was reading that these small modular plants actually use the waste from the larger plants. So it is kind of reusing and repurposing it, like you're saying. So I guess there is some logic to that. If you're, I guess after 50 years, they can use it, the waste, for another 20 years, and then 30% of it is a byproduct. But they'll probably shoot all that into space. That would be fun.
And the aliens will start coming through.
And Alex, you're in a different, digital world. You've lived in this space for a long time now. This AI implementation into the yacht's operation, I'm going down the rabbit hole because I believe I can free up time of the captain, chief officer, chief engineer, chief stewardess. Their time in front of clients is the most valuable time, and in front of crew from a training perspective. So AI implementation is about cost savings, guest services, and making the systems more efficient on board. Where do you see it going? Do you see any yachts implementing this already?
I do see a lot of yachts implementing it already, from the checklists to the training, even to media production. Is what I'm using it a lot for. And I think each individual will find a way to enhance what they currently do using AI in their own unique way. And if you're not doing it, you are falling behind, because if there's a faster, more efficient way to do something, why not do it? Because you can save an incredible amount of time. So I see that.
But us old fellas, Alex, what chance do we have of keeping up with this? Us old fellas, me and the two caps, we're looking at this going, that's a new language, mate.
What are you on about, old fellas, mate? Speak for yourself. I'm a young bloke.
I knew I'd get a bite. Off you, Cap.
I'm 50 years young, mate. 50 years young.
Oh, there you go.
I'm just getting started, man.
Yeah. It's just getting
the three of us have taken on social media, and you guys have succeeded very well. But how can we take on AI? It's a different language. To me, it's a different language.
It is completely different language.
It is
It's
completely
like social media. How social media was in the beginning. When I started, all the old guys or the old folks I was trying to get work from didn't understand it and wouldn't hire me. But now it's a different story. Now I've elevated to a point where I understand this. But now I understand social media. The next level is AI. So I've started using AI years ago, and people are only now starting to jump onto it and seeing what it's capable of. And it's capable of a lot more than what we can currently see on the surface. So start playing with it now, because in the next 10 years, and this industry is usually behind with innovation and new tech. So if you start working on it now, you will have an advantage in the next 10 years against the people that are too afraid to step into it. it's not that scary once you take your first step. ChatGPT is a great starting point. I've started playing around with Claude, and there's other ones like Kling AI, Runway, Castmatic, all these other tools that I use for my operations. And for your operations, I know there's going to be AI software coming out for captains, checklists, inventory. There's a lot of crew coming out with their own tools because they are sick of doing things the old school way, very inefficient. Now there's people that are building their own little applications and utilizing AI. So there's a lot happening.
Yeah, but Captain Kerry, to you though, I mean, you've seen all sides of vessel operations, from an active captain to now working obviously successfully below decks. There's definitely a helicopter view of the whole thing. How do you see AI being able to create more time for the heads of department? Like, because that's my goal. I want to get my heads of department off the administration onto the front line. Not that they want it all the time, but
is my camera working?
It is.
It is.
It is.
All right. It says it's not. Yeah, it's probably better for you guys. I haven't done my makeup yet. I only just started like using AI recently, and I've got to do some courses on it myself because I've been using it to do some research on things, and then I'll get it to research something that I know, and it's giving me bad information back. I think it's something that people can get over reliant on something that's not giving them good information. It's like asking advice from someone who doesn't know what they're talking about, and then taking it on. So I've got to learn more about it and understand it. And I only heard about Claude 2 days ago. So I mean, it's the future, right? And way to talk to it and the way to do things, but I don't know enough about it yet.
Yeah, fair enough. I just don't know. I know the potential's there. Like, I know it's like a new surfboard or something. I know if I ride it, it's going to be better, or if it's But I don't know. Like, I'm spoke to my heads of department, my main team. I said, all right, guys, here's the vision. We're going to reduce our labor time in front of a computer by 20%. And they're like, how? And I'm like, I've got no idea yet. I really don't. I just know, speaking to Claire Hagan, who were they? They were 4 people, and I want to get it right. It was Claire Hagan.
Jake as well. Jake he's doing some stuff for the software developer.
Yeah, Jake Lazarus from FIAI, who creates coding. He's a coding software guy, and he just lives a nomadic life and spends 3 months in each country. And he just looks at yachting and says, "You guys, your industry is in the top of service, but the bottom of supply chain management."
Yep. Yeah.
How we look at efficiencies. And then there was Andrew Grant and Christine Augustin, who was a stewardess, who's now working, who's a certified AI consultant, and she takes companies in yachting sector. She advises maritime and high trust organizations on artificial intelligence. Like, it was absolutely an awesome panel.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really
so they're saying it's here. It's just the big organizations like Burgess and Northrop and all these companies, they're using it, but the vessels themselves aren't seeing the results in terms of efficiency and guest services.
Well, I would say, there's, it's one of those things where it's not hard. It's just new, we just got to start doing it. I mean, I actually met with a friend of mine yesterday, and he showed me how to make a couple of AI agents, and I actually use it to scrub my email and come out every day. What's the most important task I need to do today? So I think those kind of things would be helpful for crew, because then, you get inundated with a lot of email that's just really garbage. So, if you say, okay, these 4 tasks are number 1, and then at the end of the day, it gives you a follow-up, and I did that, and then I'm looking to put all that into like a report. And what I'm going to do today is actually go through and take, because we got a 20-year survey coming up, I'm going to take a lot of the ship's info, and then plus all our lists and stuff, and put it in there, and have it go through and see if it can do some research on what things are good, what the time things are going to take, and and recommendations and stuff. It's going to take a while, because what a friend of mine said, look, 90% of, AI is only as good as what we feed it, and 90% of what we feed it is garbage. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. It's got to think past that. I mean, think of all our brains getting polluted, just one brain, with whatever all day, but it's got billions of that, and 90% of that is it can't filter through it yet. So we have to kind of like Captain Carey was saying, we have to double check, trust, and verify, because if not, we're gonna fall by the wayside. But I like what Alex was saying with all the checklists and safety. It could be really doing great. You could set up a whole automation system of, hey, these certificates are expiring. Hey, these 3 crew, they need their new ENG1 this month, and then put all that in the calendar already, so that people, when they get their calendar every week, okay, shoot, I have to go and get my ENG1, and they could even schedule it for you.
That's you can source parts.
Depending on where you are, and that kind of thing. But you could put that all in there to make it easier, because a good part of like the yard period and stuff is making all the calls and organizing everything and getting all the costs and the labor and everything lined up to where, because you can't do everything at the same time. You can't paint while you're ripping motors apart, doing the bottom and all this other stuff. You have to. It's it's a lot.
But it's gonna. I think it gives back the human. What I've been looking at. It gives back the human. And talking about human, Captain Carey, your dance skills are getting better, buddy. Australians don't dance, mate.
It's all
Australians don't dance. I love it, mate.
If you want to prove,
you're a role model.
If you want to prove it's not AI, come to the theatre on April 10. That's when I'm performing up here in Juba.
April 10. All right. And what's it for?
It's actually pretty neat. So it's multifaceted. So the first thing is me leaning into something that's challenging and difficult. It's not me. My dance skills are normally holding a beer at the bar. That's as much as I've got. And then I picked a style of dance, totally not me. And but I listened to different tracks, and this one song resonated with me without even knowing what the words were. So that was the first side of it. The second side is it's in the mental health sphere of it's raising money for the Maltz Theatre. I'm trying to remember the name of the school, but raising money so more kids go to this art school. So these kids, they can express themselves. They get off the couch. They're not on their phones. They're out. It's physically good for them. It's mentally good for them. It's exposing them to a space where they can actually express themselves in different ways. So it really is a mental health sort of things for the kids, and also for myself. So I'm pushing my own boundaries, and I'm leaning in. So it's a fundraiser.
Oh,
so I've got this thing where you can. It's kind of, I find it. You can like vote for me, which is a donation to the school, and I haven't like publicized it yet because I thought it was all weird. I was trying to find a way to make it work, but that makes sense. You want to donate some money to the school. The fun way is you can vote for me, and so I'm going to put something out tomorrow saying that, and hopefully, if I can get 10% of my following to make a donation, that's a huge sponsorship for the school.
Nice.
Absolutely. Well, mate, you're a role model to me, because I saw it and I'm like, mate, that guy, he a whole new level of respect for you, Cap Carey. I really have. Because I'm like, I'm used to putting myself out there. Like, I don't mind being vulnerable, and it's been a 2-year challenge of just be vulnerable, Liam. Say when you're not feeling well, and tell your crew things, and create something. Yep. And then I'm like, I see Captain Carey, I'm like, wow, that's a whole new league, mate. That's a new league.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate.
Sometimes when I dance, I make other people uncomfortable. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
Transparency seems to be a trend nowadays, because I guess when you guys started with hardcore salty sea dogs as captains and mentors,
Yep.
right? Now it seems the generation is a little softer and needs more nurturing and more time for themselves. How would you say it's evolved since? Because you guys have seen the evolution.
I think
So
like the way you presented that, it is how it's someone would say it, but I see a deeper level is that the next generation is more of themselves, and we weren't.
Yeah.
And that I think
Self-awareness.
that's more of the thing. Is that they have more self-awareness, which means they need to be managed in a different way. Where I mean, I was a salty captain, from Australia, and you got on it, build a bridge, harden up, eat some cement, all that kind of stuff.
Cup of
Um,
coffee.
What does your husband do? That was another one I used to say if people were a bit soft. But
What is it?
but yeah, it's they're more aware of where they're at, and
Yeah.
they've got a better quality of life than what we had. And but yeah, for someone who doesn't have the emotional intelligence, and I don't mean that you don't, mate. I'm just saying, like generally, that their theory is they're soft, they're not hard enough, and you've got to give them a hug. And really,
Yeah,
it's way more complex than that.
I would
That's
say
the
more
word I want to get out. That's the word I want to get out. You know what I mean? It's but it doesn't mean, but also at the same token, we've got a very demanding job. And if that person can't succeed in their position, well, it's not for them. Right. So it doesn't mean that we lower the standards of what we do or lower what we do for the guests. I mean, other two captains remember when hours of rest came in. That was a huge thing, right? Like, harden up. Like, we work 30 hours a day, 10 days a week. Now we've got to take a break, So I think it's just that next level.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed there's two contrasting viewpoints, and I'm hearing from all sides. One is the generation nowadays is just not what they used to be. And then from the other side is like the leadership is really toxic and creates a really toxic environment, and I'm looking for something to get out of. So
it's all correct.
It's all about self-awareness from both sides.
I would say there's, it's a little bit of both. I would say to add and piggyback on what Captain Carey was saying is that I would say that the younger people are just a little more conscious than we were. And because we weren't allowed to speak up, was speak when you're spoken to, you sit there until they tell you to go outside, that kind of thing. That was the upbringing. And then, you weren't allowed to speak when adults were speaking and stuff like that. So if someone was your elder or whatever, you just clam up and you wait until they tell you what to do. And, there is a level of toxicity where it's, my way or the highway is still exists. But I think we all need to take lessons from all of it by saying, we all could be a little more conscious, a little more self-aware, because, in the upbringing and stuff, every generation always says, well, the younger generation always has it easier and this and that. But my argument is, isn't that what we want? Don't we want our kids to have it a little easier than us? Don't we want to work with? That's what we work hard for, but we don't want them to be not able to handle things, but we want them to have those opportunities that we did not have. So by being more conscious, I think we need to take a lesson from that.
Agreed, mate. You couldn't have said it any better. I mean, it's, and the other thing too is a dynamic is, the yacht owners are a generation above us, right? A lot of the owners. So we're in a real tough position where we understand the way they think, but we've got a generation below us to mentor through all this. So we've got a very challenging job per se.
Yeah, my take is, in the end of the day, they blame the cap. And as a father, as a husband, I always say, I'll take the blame, no problem. I'm used to that. These shoulders burden the weight of many. You know what I mean? So if the captain's to blame, why don't more captains be proactive in building the right teams and being transparent in the toxicity of the industry? Because I see so many captains still get a job. Like I met a guy, it's his first captain's job, and he's like, I'm like, cool. Who's your mentor? Who do you reach out to? Who do you ask questions to? Oh, I'm figuring it out. I'm like, yeah, see, there's the problem. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many
Yeah.
mistakes I've made as a cap that I want to help other people not make that same mistake. Don't let my ego get in the way of good relationships. You know what I mean? There's a tip there. So, to your point, Alex, I do see the generational differences. I really wish these captains would, because we get the blame, we have the most positive, a potential to make positive impact, like what Captain Kerry's doing, with the dancing, and that's a new generation of dancers coming now. That's Australians.
It's called the confused Aussie.
I love it. So the problem is now,
I've got a question for all of you. As captains, how do you set the standards and expectations for the owners and the crew so everything runs smoothly from the get-go? Captain Terry, maybe you can go first.
That's a loaded question.
It's a tough one because...
Are you doing it yet, or could that be the reason for the friction that many come across? Because I've seen too that there's many owners out there that are very welcoming and are even designing boats to have the crew come and dine with them and interact with them. And then there's some boats that are strictly separating the crew from the owner experience. I'm seeing a trend growing into more crew are becoming part of the vessel with the guests. That's what I've seen.
That's great. I mean, it is and it's not. I kind of don't like the crew being too familiar with the guests. That's more of a sports fisher thing than a yacht thing,
Large yachts have seen this happen on too, like large yachts.
Well, the owner sets the tone. The owner sets the tone, and then you try to work with that. And if that owner doesn't suit your style, well, you need to find another boat. You're not going to tell an owner how to go, but you can slowly guide them through that. And like our captains here, we've been doing it long enough. We know what our space is, and we're not as in fear of our jobs as a new captain who's just going to make the owner happy regardless.
Yeah.
And it's and as we also mentioned too is getting the right team together. And Captain Liam was saying is, it's a big puzzle. It really is, and we are the conductors of an orchestra. And at the start, man, everything's just going berserk. It's absolute mess, and to actually get everyone in tune from different nations and different sexes and different ideals and different religions, all in the space. They're living in their accommodation's smaller than a jail cell. It really is. I mean, we're magicians, to be honest.
But when it works, we're good magicians, and when it doesn't, it's like, back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
It can
be. I think Alex, owners and crew have very different expectations. So an owner's expectation is quality service, quality experiences, privacy, confidentiality, all the rest of it. A yacht crew's expectations, 80% of them are earn a good tip or earn money and, focus on your time off. It's very hard to get a team of people to align with an owner's expectations, and then exceed it is even harder.
And that's where the pressure falls on you guys as well, because you're essentially the bearing between the owners and the crew. And from what I hear is managing crew is the toughest part of the gig.
Well,
it is.
In any organization, any business, the people's the hardest part. What I always say to people is like, the boat is logical. We can fix that. We can figure it out. It takes a certain amount of hours, certain amount of parts, and stuff like that. But people, a lot of times, a lot of us people don't deal with our problems. So we all come with a certain set of baggage. I don't know anybody our age that doesn't have any baggage at all. And that's a wonderful super person I would love to meet someday. But with your with your question about the owners and the crew, if we build a great team like Liam and Gary were saying, is we can be dynamic and deal with the charter guests and deal with the owners as well. But it has to be, we all have to be kind of in sync. And my first captain's gig was with an older traditional yachtsmen, where we were kind of part of the family and stuff. And you know, he told the senior told my wife, like, look, your wife and the baby can come on the boat and stay as long as you want. Come on the boat. It was a family thing. It was great. They treated me very well. And that's a totally different private program than a charter program or like a thing. But it was an older, ocean racing sailboat family. So everyone, worked hard together, ate together, and did that. And it was really good. They treated me well. But those kind of traditional yachting families have kind of gone away. And I think you're seeing a newer generation of people that have the bigger super yachts now, which is a totally different dynamic, which is all new, and it's all kind of working out. But it all comes from the crew. Like you have to build the crew around what the expectations are of the program, and we have to kind of guide the program. And there's where all the nuances, we try a lot of different things, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And people that work well on one boat with us may not fit the next program. It's one of those things,
Yeah, but this, the reason, I'm kind of a bit passionate about this now is because I don't see a standardization. Like, Captain Kerry talked about the people. I see every yacht still has our individual approach to what is good and what is bad. But if you go to companies like Four Seasons, for example, in a Four Seasons, you're going to have a set experience from the arrival to the departure. And that's where I think yachting, we lack this standardization. Like Cap Kerry, you've traveled a lot. You go to good hotels and those hotels, or the lounges you go to, the experience you're going to have. But in yachting, how does a broker tell between one yacht to the other yacht what is the standard of experience?
Yeah.
There's no measurable, there's no quantifiable, like Forbes is for hotels.
No, but it would be difficult. I mean, you could really standardize a lot of the procedures, but the people dynamic, because each boat is going to be kind of different, unless, because each Four Seasons, you go into one here or you go into another one. It's pretty similar. Their brand is the same, but like you go on each boat they like different itineraries. So you can, as our procedures with the service on the service side, you can get a really high level of service, but it's going to be a little bit nuanced based on the owner's taste and where they want the boat to be, so the dynamics of what we do and have to pull off. Sometimes we have to have some kind of I want to say gap or a little bit of a working room to where we can make it work, because sometimes our timetable is short, and therein lies where the problems come, because getting somebody or getting the right people in at the right time, a lot of times you just have to go with whoever's there.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, you see it, Captain Kerry, in hotels that you've been to around the world. How do you see yacht standard to certain high-level hotels?
Well, I would always tell my crew that Four Seasons can't touch us. The level that we're at, Four Seasons is nothing. It's a days in compared to what yachting is about, especially on a private boat, because you get to know exactly what the owners want. There's no surprise. There's nothing. We have our preference sheets for our guests. We know who's coming. And I love private boats more than charter for that reason, because everything on that boat is exactly the way the owners want. And then you get to explore what they want, and you get to try new things, and maybe you get a chef that is creative and they can explore different menus that they've never tried before, and you have a captain that likes to travel, where maybe his previous captain hated traveling, and then you get to see other parts of the world. And you have a chief steward or purser that's just fantastic at accommodating all their needs. So to me, it's that and your stuff intimately. Even I moonlighted on a 90 meter, and I loved it. because the level of your staff is so much higher than if you're on a 50 meter. You know what I mean? Like your first two officers are captains in their own right, and it attracts a much higher level crew member. And I couldn't get to know all my deck crew and interior that well, but each of them were supported enough to support their crew, and we had all the checks in place for an incredible experience. And the biggest thing is, as we all know, things will break. We always know they'll break. It's just how fast we can respond to it, and that's something else that you get when you have a great team. So that the downtime of a toilet not working or the hot water going off is as short as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we're gonna wrap it up here, Captain. Scott, what do you think, kind of within a whole conglomerate of collaboration in the industry? I'm kind of not seeing enough between the bigger firms, because the further you go up in yachting, through boats, through crew, through boats, through managements, through brokers, it does get smaller and smaller. And I walk around the show and see all these brokerage houses, but I also don't see a collaboration between the brokerage houses. I know it's a sensitive topic, but I don't mind those topics, because at the end of the day, this is crew welfare. So how do you see a difference in the different brandings and how they collaborate together, or a benefit of it?
I do. I mean, collaboration is why I'm here. I mean, because I like talking with you and talking to other captains and other industry professionals about all these things. And we do need to ask these hard questions. But, with brokerages and stuff, it's tough, because a lot of the sales stuff is geared to where it's, it's pretty cutthroat, because it's straight commission with a lot of these places. And if you don't sell, you don't get, you don't eat, you don't kill, you don't eat. So it's very tough for them. They don't, and they're very protective of the client list. And that's, why it's a very controlled, that's why we have to go to the brokers as captains to find our next job, because they have the owner's ear, not us. But I would welcome more collaboration. I see, like, especially in the charter world as well, like people collaborating more because they can get more charters and stuff. And I saw that when we had our day charter business, that the more people collaborated with each other, they got more day charters done and more term charters done. I think it's probably a little more in the charter world, because it's more of a niche or a tight-knit group. But I welcome more collaboration, because then I think it really helps just the overall package for the owner and everything else, because we can educate them more if there's more collaboration, and I'll say this again. I know I brought it up before, but I would like to see there being some type of when someone buys a boat, that they have access to the financial docs, so they know exactly what it costs and what's going where, what they need to spend on the crew to keep them a viable person, because crew retention is a big deal. And my thing, I know Captain Carey and Captain Liam, that you guys' big thing is taking care of the crew, and it's myself too, because if we don't have a good crew, we flounder, we fall apart,
Yeah, it can help it. What do you think, Captain Carey? I mean, I was on a panel the other day, and I had Lloyd's, ABS, Rena sitting beside each other, communicating like professionals openly. And we had two flags, and they were communicating. We got three captains here. We're all communicating. Have you seen Burgess, the 3 or 4 different management companies together in a room, openly communicating the problems of the industry? It's a joke. But they're the biggest changes. They're
highly competitive, that I've noticed.
Highly competitive.
I
don't know.
Some of them don't
just see the benefit
near each other, and some of them speak bad about each other. This is what I've seen.
Yeah. Well, I would say, look, we got to collaborate to elevate. That's the only way it's going to happen, man.
Yep.
And we have to, and this is why we're all here. This is why we're talking, and this is what we can make the change. If we just keep talking about it and keep asking these questions, and we will do it.
I'm curious to find from you, captains, how you have how the brokerage houses treat you and which ones you have come across that treat you with respect. Because I've also noticed or observed, being in and out of different circles of the industry, that the crew are often an afterthought or not even thought of. I was speaking to a potential owner looking at a 100-meter plus vessel, and it's like, gosh, there's just too many crew. I probably want to shut that down. And I'm like, listen here, the crew is going to make your entire experience what it is on a 100-meter vessel. You can't cut them out. They are pretty much the heartbeat of the whole experience. And some of these new generation owners have no idea. They're trying to cut half of their working force in their operations so they can buy a yacht in the first place. Anyways, my original question is, how have you guys interacted with brokerages, and what have been the positives and negatives you experienced as captains?
That's a big loaded question.
I mean, Captain Kerry, you're the social speaker here, mate. You know, you're the diplomat.
I'll go first.
Be a diplomat,
real diplomat. No, I'm gonna give my business a plug. I mean, that's the reason I created Yachting Concepts. Was you know, where we started off was for the first time yacht owner on the smaller vessels. So you know, around 80 feet, 50 to 100 feet, where they're at an area where they don't really get serviced by high level staff or management, because they're kind of an not afterthought, but I think you guys know what I mean. You know, everyone's chasing size. That's where the money is. You know, over 100 feet, and you know the management companies that are around are normally you know, a deckhand that used to run on a 50-meter for a couple of years and now washes boats and now he's the expert. And then the people they bring in are top level vendors. So you know, I've been working with Denison Yachts, and they've been bringing me a bunch of work. And my job is, you know, is what first thing is you know, the guy owns the boat, now he buys it, and now he's calling the broker every day about problems. Well, palm them off to me, and I'll guide them the best way. And then getting back to, you know, new captains always saying yes. When I don't have one employer, and I've got multiple employers per se, right? I've got a fleet of 10 boats. I can afford to upset one of them because I want to do what's right. Where, you know, you got a family and so forth, you don't want to upset the boss because you got to feed the kids, right? So it gives me an opportunity to educate these yacht owners on what it costs, what maintenance needs to be done, what to expect from your crew, and the biggest thing too is you know, they buy an 80-foot boat and they want a captain with, you know, at our level to be on the boat. So also have some grace with the captain of what he doesn't know, and then, you know, where I can support the captain and the owner and work with them to make the experience reach the expectations that have been set. I think that's probably the best way to put it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so basically you're getting professionals involved alongside brokerage companies to get the client the results. Would that be correct, Cap?
Well, that's it. I mean, I'll use the vendors that I would use on a 50-meter, on a 50-footer. You know what I mean? Or an 80-footer.
Yeah.
I would use the people that I've known in the industry for years, or who have worked for some of the big names, right? You know, whether it be Wards or Beard or Metcalf. And, you know, I've had staff there that I've used for years, and now they're on their own, you know, and I know their level of work.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're getting the best of the industry taking care of the vessel, as opposed to a second or third tier company that is not proven, doesn't have the capacity to support the work.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
something AI could never replace. An experience and expertise that you have, the decades of experience.
Sorry, there's noise in the background. Could you repeat that?
That level of expertise and experience is something that AI could never replace, but also something you could utilize AI to help you help them. I think a lot of owners and brokers need that sort of advice, and there's a gap in the market without having to become a broker yourself in that cutthroat environment.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Look, I think brokerages are like brands, Alex, too. You've got to realize, as a captain, a brokerage is like a brand. And Denison Yachts is an identity. It's a brand. It's a culture. Northam & Johnson, they're cultures. And I think captains align with the different cultural identities of that brand. Does that make any sense as well, Captain Kerry? It doesn't mean one's better or worse than the other, It's just that each of them have slightly different cultural identities, whether it's
All different
Woods or whether
businesses.
it's IYC. They have different. So I don't know. It's hard as a cap. A lot of times people would choose to work with that brokerage firm for their whole career. I've been blessed, with the team at Northrop and Johnson. I love them. They're awesome, and they align with my kind of freedom and culture. So I don't know. I think owners see that, and that's why they choose those brands. Which one resonates with them. But they've all got their unique niches.
Yeah, and I would say it's like, when you're talking about standardization, there's not really any standardization in the way brokerages deal with a lot of the crew and a lot of the way they do sales and stuff. There's some in the sales structure, but not necessarily with the standards of how they do the showings, and they do, the way they deal with other captains and crew. Some could care less, and some are really active in the crew, and they have crew agents and all that stuff. But I have never really been with any one brokerage. I did spend quite a bit of time with Northrop and Johnson on quite a few different boats, but I've probably run the gamut of a lot of different ones, because and like Captain Liam was saying, it's how each one deals with you is much different than the next.
Yeah, but it's all the same client, Paul. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up. Appreciate all your time. The purpose of this is to check in with each other around you, whether it's caps, industry professionals, crew. I had a random crew reach out this morning and say it's check-in Tuesday. How are you? Let me tell you my story. I'm like, cool. Tell me your story. So it's
nice.
It's about getting things off your chest as well. But Captain Kerry, I appreciate it. What's coming up in your life? And people can get a hold of you through @Captain Kerry, I believe.
It's CAPT_Kerry, and that's across all platforms. For some weird reason, I have a lot of imposters out there. I can't work out what the reason is, but it is. So just be very careful. That's exactly the handle. CAPT_Kerry. There's no numbers or letters or official before it, but there's a lot of imposters, and there's a lot of, what do I call it? Catfishing? Is that the thing? It's out there?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
Bit of that going on. Yeah. People using my dog and my kids and using my face and stuff like that. Yeah.
And then
Is this you denying OnlyFans? Is this you saying no to OnlyFans? Like, come on.
I told you, man. Dice is the major sponsor there. So.
No, April 10th, buddy. Everyone, April 10th. Where do they got to vote for you?
Yeah. So they're doing I'll do a post tomorrow, but I think of it more. It's a donation to the school. It's a fun way to donate to the school. They take $30 donations, and it's going there. It's going to help the kids. It's going to allow families that couldn't afford to be in that space, and get the kids off the couch, off their phones, physically getting around, moving, learning something new, getting out of the dead spaces, and actually touching and meeting people, as opposed to just Snapchatting. So if we can help support that, I'd greatly welcome it.
Okay. And what was the name, the company, or where was it?
It's the Maltz Theatre. Yeah, Maltz Theatre up in Jupiter.
Maltz Theatre. All right, cool. Well, I'll check it out, mate. I'm looking forward to it. And Alex, yourself, what's coming up in your life? What's happening this next couple of weeks?
I'm going to be processing all the content from the show, first of all, and also diving deep into AI.
Yeah, all right. Enjoy the journey, mate. Enjoy the rabbit chase and the carrot, whatever it is, around the yard.
Yeah, I'm working on a developing system for lead generation for the vendors, suppliers, and businesses out there within the yachting industry. So that's the system I've been working on for a while. So yeah.
Well, Claire's biggest takeaway, I believe I wrote it down. Claire's biggest takeaway from AI is you got to write a tab on your computer that says, "Can AI do this more efficiently than me?" And then that starts the question in your mind to become AI literate, literate or whatever. So it's, can AI do this faster than me?
Yeah, everyone was becoming a content creator with the social media craze, and now people are. Now it's all about
Captain Scott.
So,
we've got to wrap it up. We've got a busy day. Captain Scott, you good, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good. The only thing I have to say about AI is that just try to solve one problem at a time.
Oh, there you go. All right.
That's the only thing.
Thanks, gentlemen. Captain
Right,
Kerry,
see you
great
guys.
to connect.
See you,
Sorry
everybody.
we didn't see each other at the show. Be safe. Enjoy your Tuesday.
All right.
Thank you,
See ya.
guys.
Ciao.
Thank you.